I don't know how he does it, but how often do we really not get the sense that the next fight in the career of Conor McGregor is the biggest of his life? Love him or hate him, the man is a high-stakes player, willing to jump directly into whatever situation seems like the most compelling and profitable to his overall narrative and the story of his career. And I think in many ways that style of career management has led to some of his greatest moments, while also contributing quite heavily to his failures. So yeah, this is going to be a bit of a long-winded piece. I'm going to warm into my actual point with some context ahead of it, just to set the table for you. As I sit here speaking to you all about this upcoming matchup between Conor and the man who just knocked him out a few months prior in Dustin Poirier, I can't help but feel like the stakes here are greater than ever before. I mean, look, when you think about it, he could have lost to Jose Aldo as an unproven challenger. He could have failed at UFC 202, leaving him beaten twice by Nate Diaz at 170 pounds after skipping a foray into the lightweight division entirely. Even that 155-pound debut against Eddie Alvarez could have ended in defeat. There are moments in this story where the notion of losing was actually quite understandable. People put a lot of weight on Conor's shoulders because Conor puts a lot of weight on his own shoulders. He speaks to us like he's the single greatest fighter to ever walk the planet, and indirectly he demands to be judged by that metric. That's why people are so hard on him, so quick to dismiss his best moments and in a hurry to criticize him when he comes up short. And in the moments of utter brilliance he has shown us that support his talk, that's why people continue to believe in him. But if one thing has become clearer and clearer to me over the years, it's that the overall conversation around Conor McGregor is all over the place. That seems to be the way he likes it. That's the monster he has created for himself. I don't think it's fair to say that anything other than a spot amongst the greatest fighters of all time would make Conor McGregor anything less than a great success competitively. He does indeed set these standards for himself to be judged by, through his promotion and trash talk, but all in all, Conor's legacy to me is already set in stone by his work between 2013 and 2016, and he didn't quite make it as far as I would have hoped at the time, instead opting to exit the sport in a pivotal time for his career post UFC 205, doing what most people would do in going after a $100 million paycheck, before returning to mixed martial arts in what was clearly a very troubling and turbulent period in his personal life. But in those 3 years, in his prime, there was a magic there. And I already mentioned this in my Dustin Poirier video, which you should totally check out after this video if you already haven't. But for me, as an Irishman, as a hugely devoted supporter of my country's athletes, I have found supporting Conor McGregor to be a hugely rewarding but ultimately quite frustrating experience. I have so much love for Dustin Poirier and the way he handled his own rise from what could have been a defining loss at featherweight back in 2014. But as I stated in the Poirier video, I'll be roaring at my television for his demise by the time fight night comes around. Again, hoping that Conor clatters his pea head off the canvas. That's just the nature of this passionate support I have within me for Conor McGregor. I can't help myself when fight night comes around. And again, as great as that 3-year period was, the highs he reached, the sight of him wearing an Irish flag on his shoulder as he spoke directly to his countrymen inside that octagon time and time again, it made the Floyd fight, the Khabib fight, the 2 more recent bouts with Cerrone and Poirier, it made them all seem a little distant. Like damage had already been done that couldn't be undone. Because as much as we were led to believe that the Mayweather bout was more than a farce, there was no way we were going to come away from that whole thing with the same opinion of Conor. No way watching his antics before the Khabib fight and his demeanor, there was just no way that wasn't going to affect that feeling I have in my heart every time he fights. Because quite frankly, it was disappointing. Both on a personal level due to the years that I'd spent passionately defending him, and it was also disappointing competitively, due to the belief that I had in his clear potential to reach the highest of highs. And as a supporter who has had some of the most incredible times watching this man, watching this fellow Irishman make his rise, it really did hurt to see him going into what was a pretty clear decline. That Khabib fight in particular was ugly, and I'm not trying to say that Conor in his prime would have clearly handled Nurmagomedov inside of the octagon, I'm really not. But I was definitely in denial about where he was at coming into that bout. And I suppose what I'm trying to say here is that I have found, after this recent spell, the Cowboy fight, the Poirier rematch, after those 2 matchups, I'm starting to feel hope and the power of that support again in a way that I haven't done in 4 or 5 years. Even after that Poirier loss, the TKO defeat. As I mentioned before, I honestly felt proud of Dustin, seriously. I looked at his struggle and what it took for him to get this one back over McGregor. And I just couldn't help but feel immense satisfaction and closure by that result. And I think it took the booking of this trilogy fight to make the stakes crystal clear. to add that level of suspense that I can feel dripping its way into the minds of people I've spoken to recently. If any of us, Conor included, were guilty of underestimating Dustin Poirier in January, the world now knows exactly how strong a chance there is for him to definitively end Conor McGregor's status as an elite fixture within this sport. And I think that danger, that very real danger, coupled with the fact that Conor actually signed on the dotted line to take on the man who just knocked him out, this feels like something plucked out of McGregor's early run. And win, lose or draw, I'm feeling excited for this bout in a way that I haven't done since 2016. Again, I'm not trying to take anything away from Khabib, he's one of my favorite fighters. But Conor's antics during that media run unsettled me, just like they unsettled a lot of you. We looked at McGregor more so as a symbol of arrogance, a walking, talking representation of the vast wealth and success that he had already fought for and acquired. And as Khabib went out there and thoroughly beat him down over 4 rounds, it obviously upset me. But I think the narrative was already built in my head. Nurmagomedov was simply the better fighter, the more active fighter, and Conor had long since shown that his commitment to MMA was casual at best. If the Cowboy Cerrone fight was a much needed tune-up, and his January clash with Dustin was seen by him and his team as a stepping stone to either Khabib or a boxing matchup with Manny Pacquiao, as his team had stated, this fight here, this trilogy matchup, this willing jump into the fires that had just burned him a few months back, this seems like a risk born out of a desire to prove a point. To do something that could well be highly detrimental to his legacy, to his health, to his status within this sport right now, and to his future marketability. I look at this trilogy fight, and before I even think about the calf kicks that destabilized him, Poirier's counter right hook that consistently found his chin, the southpaw stance that is now rightly seen as an advantage when facing Conor McGregor, before I think of any of this, I just see the risk that he's taking here, and as an Irishman, as a supporter of Conor McGregor, even begrudgingly at times, I'm equal parts terrified and excited beyond belief, because this is the type of matchup that really resonates with me as a fight fan. Money is one thing, sleeping in silk sheets is another, but taking a risk like this is a statement of the type of man that, to be honest, I had missed. And that for me is what sets this fight apart from every one of the other 4 bouts Conor has taken since hoisting 2 belts on his shoulders at UFC 205. I don't even know if I'm getting any of this out in a coherent manner, but I'm sure there will be some of you watching who understand exactly what I mean by this. So yeah, as far as the fight itself goes, there will be no shortage of technical breakdowns and prediction videos to be watched. But I suppose given the territory, and given just how important a figure Conor McGregor has been in my life as I've worked my way through MMA media before finding a new home in YouTube, I wanted to give a personal insight into this matchup and what it means to me specifically. I can't really make a prediction here because even now, even with all of his failures, the low points, the rebound against Cerrone, and the cold, harsh realities of his limitations he experienced as a lesson at UFC 257, even with all of this being the case, I still believe in Conor McGregor. I'm hooked, what can I say? I have been since 2012, and to be honest, I've grown up watching this man succeed, fail, and everything that came in between. So that's pretty much all I have to say on the matter. I'm not usually this emotional about fighters or upcoming bouts, but this is a special one. That first fight was an excellent display from Dustin. An assured, confident display that saw him soundly deal with McGregor using the perfect approach. That said, I don't think this bout is outside of Conor's reach, not at all. And I think with an eye on Saturday night, I just know that a victory for Conor McGregor here would change everything by the time we woke up on Sunday morning. So yeah, just a bit of a different style of video here given the subject matter. But again, in a sea of prediction videos and technical breakdown videos, I wanted to give something personal because given the unique role that Conor has had during a lot of formative years in my life, I'm in something of a good position to speak about it. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it and I was able to get it out in a manner that was relatively coherent. But what do you make of this pivotal matchup for the legacy of Conor McGregor? And do you think that he still has what it takes to defeat one of the lightweight division's all-time greats? Do let us know your opinions in the comment section below. We always love to hear from you guys. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and a comment before subscribing to the channel so you can stay up to date with all of our latest uploads. Thank you for watching.